A new prophecy has just been uncovered in the last kingdom that reveals who will be the last king of England before the end of the world. Here is the truth behind the lost kingdom. Greetings, everyone. It's me. And today we're going to talk about the final king of England. You heard me right, the very last one. According to a brand new discovery in the last kingdom, there are only 7 kings left to rule England before the apocalypse. But why? What makes this possible? And how do these 7 kings relate to the lost kingdom? Join me on this incredible journey into the world of Anglo-Saxon England, where we'll uncover the hidden meaning behind an ancient prophecy that could reveal the fate of the kingdom and its people. If you love the last kingdom, you won't want to miss this, because the secrets we uncover in this video could change everything you thought you knew about the series. So make sure to stay until the end to find out more. In order to understand this new prophecy in the last kingdom, we have to go back to the beginning and discover the legend of the lost kingdom. The idea of a lost kingdom was a common theme in medieval literature, often used as a way to explore themes of loss, nostalgia, and the decline of civilization. The concept of a lost kingdom is often used as a metaphor for the fall of a once great empire or the passing of an era. The term itself evokes a sense of longing for a bygone age and suggests the possibility of a golden age that can never be recovered. One famous example of a lost kingdom is King Arthur's Camelot, which is said to have been a place of peace and prosperity, ruled over by the legendary king. However, as the stories tell it, the kingdom was eventually destroyed by betrayal and civil war, leaving only ruins and legends in its wake. The Arthurian legend serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of greed and treachery, and the importance of maintaining honor and integrity, but it also explores the human condition and the inevitability of loss and decay. This story reflects a real historical period known as the Dark Ages, when Western Europe fell into a state of chaos and destruction following the collapse of the Roman Empire. The loss of Roman rule led to a breakdown in infrastructure and a decline in trade and commerce, which created widespread poverty and instability. The people of this time lived in fear of invasion from outside forces and were subject to the whims of local warlords who often competed with each other for power. The devastation wrought by the collapse of Roman rule was so profound that it left a lasting impact on European history and culture. But it's not just in the realm of mythology and legend that we see the concept of a lost kingdom explored. In fact, it's a recurring motif in many different cultures and throughout history. For example, the ancient Greeks had their own version of a lost kingdom with the city of El Dorado, said to have been a place of great wealth and splendor ruled over by a divine king. However, the city was eventually destroyed by an earthquake, leaving only ruins and tales of its former glory. Similarly, the Norsemen had their own concept of a lost kingdom with the mythical land of Asgard, which was said to be home to the gods and ruled over by Odin. However, according to prophecy, the kingdom would eventually be destroyed by the forces of chaos and darkness, bringing an end to the reign of the gods and plunging the world into darkness. The idea of a lost kingdom is often used as a way to explore themes of loss and nostalgia, but it can also be used to examine the nature of power and the abuse of authority. In Shakespeare's play Macbeth, for example, the Scottish king's murder sets in motion a chain of events that leads to the destruction of his kingdom. The play explores the corrupting influence of power and the consequences of unchecked ambition. So what does the concept of a lost kingdom have to do with the last kingdom? Well, as we know, the series is set in the Anglo-Saxon era of England and follows the struggles of a group of warriors trying to maintain their kingdom against the invading forces of the Danes. The kingdom they inhabit is constantly under threat of destruction, and the characters must fight tirelessly to protect it. Given the series' preoccupation with themes of war, conquest, and the struggle for power, it's not surprising that the concept of a lost kingdom plays a significant role. Furthermore, the series is deeply rooted in the history and culture of Anglo-Saxon England, and the concept of a lost kingdom resonates with the historical context of the time. The Anglo-Saxons themselves believed that they were descended from a lost race of giants, and this belief permeates much of their literature and folklore. The Last Kingdom embraces these elements of Anglo-Saxon culture and weaves them into the narrative, creating a rich and immersive world that feels both timeless and deeply rooted in history. Now let's look at the new prophecy that's just been uncovered in the Last Kingdom. It reveals that there are only 7 kings left to rule England before the end of the world. But first, we need to understand the significance of the number 7 in this context. The number 7 has long been associated with completion and perfection in many cultures, including the ancient Babylonians, Greeks, and Christians. The concept of 7 as a perfect number can be seen in various aspects of our daily lives, such as the 7 days of the week, the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and even the 7 deadly sins. In religious texts, such as the Bible, the number 7 holds particular significance. Jesus is said to have risen from the dead on the 7th day, and he made 7 pronouncements during his ministry. These examples demonstrate the deep-rooted cultural significance of the number 7 and its association with completion and divine favor. Now let's explore how this prophecy relates to the lost kingdom and the remaining kings of England. As we know, the concept of a lost kingdom is a central theme in the Last Kingdom, and the prophecy suggests that the kingdom is nearing its end. The mention of 7 kings could imply that the current king is the 8th in a line of rulers, with the first king being the mythical figure of Alfred the Great. Alfred the Great was the king of Wessex from 871 to 899 AD, and he is considered a legendary figure in English history. He successfully defended his kingdom against the Danish invaders and is credited with laying the foundation for the unification of England. If we count from Alfred, then indeed we arrive at the 8th king with Aethelstan, who is considered the first king of a unified England. The prophecy suggests that there are only 7 more kings who will rule after Aethelstan, which implies that the current king is the penultimate ruler of the kingdom. However, it's important to note that the concept of the lost kingdom in the Last Kingdom is not limited to a single dynasty or lineage of kings. Instead, it refers to the entire kingdom of England and its people as they face the threat of extinction at the hands of the Vikings. The prophecy may therefore be interpreted as a warning to the inhabitants of the kingdom that their way of life is disappearing and that they must take action to preserve their culture and identity. As we know, the series follows the journey of Uhtred, a young man who is raised in a monastery but is destined to become a warrior. Throughout the series, Uhtred and his companions face numerous challenges and battles as they try to defend their kingdom against the Vikings. Along the way, they encounter various allies and enemies who help or hinder their efforts to preserve the kingdom. The prophecy that there are only 7 kings left to rule England before the end of the world adds a sense of urgency and weight to the struggles of the characters in the series. It suggests that the fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance and that every decision and action taken by the characters has far-reaching consequences. Furthermore, the prophecy serves as a reminder of the fleeting nature of power and the inevitability of change. The characters must confront the reality that their way of life is disappearing and that they may not be able to prevent the end of their kingdom. Despite this, they continue to fight for their beliefs and values, demonstrating the resilience and determination of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Overall, the prophecy of the Seven Kings adds a layer of depth and complexity to the world of the last kingdom. It serves as a reminder of the cyclical nature of history and the constant struggle between order and chaos. The characters must confront the possibility that their kingdom may be lost and strive to preserve their way of life while accepting the inevitability of change. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more epic tales. Thanks.